is everyone? Now, I weren't going to do this video, but someone commented on my channel yesterday, I believe it was, and they were like, look, it's time to leave the Kiely Rodni case now and move on. You know, there's other cases, which I completely agree with. There are other cases that need our attention, and what I will say is when we're up and running later on this week, we will have the facility to look at more cases, and we will indeed be doing so. But the reasons behind what this person stated was why we should move on is because he stated two facts. And those facts were that someone died and that Kiely had driven a car into the reservoir. End of. Done. And I got thinking, and I thought to myself, hold on a second. I said, yeah, you know, you could say the fact is that somebody died. That's pretty much a given, isn't it? And, you know, you could pretty much say that Kiely Rodni died, unless you want to go down the route of a conspiracy of some description. I think it's safe to say that Kiely Rodni lost her life. But could you indeed say that that is a fact? And like I say, you could go down the route of a conspiracy theory of sorts. But conspiracies are born from a place where something happens or something is said or something don't sit right, and it's that seed, and it expands and expands and expands. In the Kiely Rodni case, I would say there is enough there to produce numerous conspiracy theories. And not only that, I would say that to say it's a fact that Kiely drove herself into the reservoir is a little bit trusting of what we've been told. Because what have we seen? When you say fact, you are saying that it's undisputable, undeniable that Kiely drove herself into the reservoir. And I put to you now, why does anybody class that as a fact? Is it because law enforcement have told you that? The same law enforcement that failed to find a vehicle, who tried to get in the way of Adventures with Purpose, searching the reservoir and finding her very, very quickly, you know, within sort of around the 35-minute mark. These are the same people that you are trusting to say that she drove herself into the reservoir. And again, without becoming a broken record, remember right at the beginning, her friends, those that you would think would know Kiely the most, the best, better than you or I, they said she wouldn't drink and drive. They have subsequently tried to deny saying that, Jagger specifically, but you can find it, and loads of you will have seen it, and I can't at this stage go out and find it myself because it means trawling through lots and lots of videos that I know exist and you know exist. We heard it right at the beginning. They had clearly stated that Kiely would not drink and drive until she's found, and then it all turns round and they change the story to fit the narrative. But I'm going to ask you a question, and that is, have you heard of the Salisha Singh texts and the Salisha Singh messages? Now, Salisha Singh, she was somebody who came forward in the early stages of the case, and she made some huge claims. And I want you to comment down below if you're familiar with the messages and you've seen them, or you are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about. Now, there are channels out there who have touched on it, but those videos don't seem to have got much traction, and I do feel that they hold a substantial amount of weight, and I'm going to tell you for why. I've mentioned this before, but Let's Read, he has his subscribers submit stories into him, and he reads them. He's a narrating channel, probably one of the best on the platform. Now, a girl sends her story in, and she talks about when she was 16 years old, that she's going to a party. Pretty much the identical setup than we see with Kiely. Going to a party as a younger student, going to a party with older people who she feels are her friends. And what happens? She wakes up and she's in a completely different state, in a house that's unrecognisable. She doesn't know who it is, know where it is, but luckily she wakes up alone. She quickly gets out of the house. She manages to get to law enforcement, and she is basically told that what had happened to her was a trafficking attempt, and that this is something that is rife across, I'm not even going to say the states of America, I'm going to say the world, in which in order to obtain money, kids will obtain other kids and pass them on to people whose job it is to go out and find people for the purpose of trafficking. And I wonder whether this scenario with Kiely was indeed a plan that completely went tits up. Because I struggle with things. I struggle to understand why Sammy Smith has not commented or liked a single post that is a dedication to Kiely. Now, bearing in mind, this fucker is spooning Kylie's mum every chance she gets. Like, Kiely and her were the bestest friends in the whole wide world. You know, we saw how she fumbled and fucked about with Tony Dodge over how long she had been friends with Kiely, and the magnitude of that friendship. She struggled with it, you know, and she struggled with that entire thing, if you look at it. But to not like a single post, but yet like posts posted by Jagger about other subjects, such as his cars, it doesn't sit right with me. It sits uncomfortable. So when we talk about fact, and we say the fact is that Kiely drove into the reservoir, please tell me, anybody, please tell me where it is proven undisputably that Kiely drove herself into the reservoir. And if you are classing it as a fact, where and why are you concluding that? From whose information? Whose information have you seen that, again, undeniably states Kiely Rodni drove her own vehicle off her own back into the reservoir where she perished inside that vehicle? Please, because I struggle with it. And I'm not saying I'm right, I'm just saying I struggle with it because I can't find it, I can't see it. But I do see enough to question whether there was another plan in place for this night and it went wrong. And I know it's hard for us to go down that route, but these things happen. They happen, and we can't shut our eyes and shut off to it and pretend that these things don't happen, because they do. There are people who go out in search of these young girls and even young boys to drug them, to take them away for the purpose of trafficking. Now, was this one of these type of situations where Kiely was supposed to have gone in this direction, but it went completely wrong and went in that direction, and Kiely ended up in the reservoir? Tell me that I'm completely wrong, because I don't know. But what I am saying, that there is just as much weight to that as there is to saying that Kiely did this to herself. And I'd like anybody to challenge it. And I'll catch you all in the next one.